When you share combat ring, once you are competitors, when you cross paths twice, you are rivals third time. The encounter is built up as the trilogy, the last chapter, to settle all doubts, and that is usually the end. But sometimes there's a fourth act.
I'm talking about a fourth fight between opponents in the UFC. We've had trilogies, we've never had 4 fights.
We rarely ever see this. Stars have to align for a clash this historic. Before fight happens, if number 1, the fighters have a long story history with each other.
I'm a fighter, you know. I'm gonna try to hurt the guy as hard as I possibly can and as bad as I possibly can. And Chuck Liddell will be on the receiving end of that.
Me, Master T, was just another chance to shut him up.
Number 2, every second of combat was fiercely competitive. I think the biggest difference is his fear of me.
You know? I want to make a statement of who won this rivalry, but at the same time, I'm just very grateful to share the Octagon with Davison.
And number 3, the record is all over the place. Israelite Sonia and Alex Pereira go way back. Every minute of the rivalry was competitive, but the record stands: Alex Pereira 3, Israel Adesanya 1. Yeah, I know that's so lopsided. It shouldn't even be considered a rivalry, but the devil is in the details, and while many may dismiss this as a one-sided slaughter, let's explore the history and the actual combat.
I don't think he wants that fight because, due to the history that we have.
So we can truly appreciate just how unique this saga has been.
Feel like you're getting this dude out of there.
Yes.
It all began in 2016, not in the world-famous Octagon, but kickboxing ring. Israel Adesanya made his UFC debut in 2018, and from the very start, we knew this guy was special. He was a former kickboxing champion, and when he took the first step into the Octagon, he was hailed as the next Anderson Silva.
I've fanboyed over the guy his whole career, and I've studied him. I knew what he was going to do before he do it.
He certainly had the style and skill to live up to those expectations, and within 2 years. The last Albender was the middleweight king, dethroning Robert Whittaker with minimal issue.
Never as good as they say you are. You're never as bad as they say you are. All that matters is how you see yourself. I'm a born entertainer.
So began the reign of Israel at Sonia, and at 185, he was pretty much untouchable, barely even struggling in his title defenses by the time he rematched Robert Whittaker and defeated him for the second time. Fans, experts, and fellow fighters started putting his name alongside Anderson's 5 title defenses at 185.
Is Izzy Stylebender the middleweight GOAT?
An insane feat. He was good. He was very, very good.
The guy to beat Israel Adesanya fighting in the middleweight division right now.
But there was this one clip floating around the MMA fandom. Once upon a time, Israel Adesanya was knocked out cold in the kickboxing ring, and he was left breathing off of an oxygen tube. Who did this to the seemingly invincible middleweight champion? After a bit of research, it was revealed that his name was Alex Pereira, and he held not just 1 but 2 victories over Israel Adesanya. The first kickboxing fight was a competitive affair from start to finish, and the decision was somewhat controversial. Can even see
In our faces, he thought he lost the fight, but then when his hand got raised, he was surprised.
Many felt that Israel was robbed, and so a rematch was booked. The second fight was just as close, and Adesanya definitely had his moments. But in the 3rd round, a vicious left hook brought an end to the fight. As well as the kickboxing career of Israel, out of Sonia with 2 victories over Porton. The rivalry was over, or was it? Israel went on to become one of the biggest UFC stars, but that knockout clip was always there, always posted on every discussion thread regarding Israel.
Everybody has seen the clip of you getting caught after the referee gave Alex a standing 8 count.
Eventually, the 2 losses were brought up as a question to the middleweight champion, and Israel, on top of the MMA world, talked a little too much.
At the end of the day, no one knows who the f he is. And he's gonna be that guy when I'm world champion, when I'm a legend. He's gonna be at some pub talking some shit about, I beat that guy one time.
A couple of months later, Watan was back in the MMA cage, and his sights were set on Israel Adesanya. It was only a matter of time before the 2 were locked in war zone again. Only this time, it would be the Octagon. As incredible of a kickbox arrest, Pereira was the odds were in Israel's favor, as he was the more seasoned fighter, a better mixed martial artist, and when the fight was official for UFC 281, Adesanya opened up as the favorite to win. Yet, something was different. The middleweight champion didn't look like the favorite, and he certainly didn't have the aura of a winner.
We all know what happened in the last 2 fights. I forgot about him. I hope you forgot it as well. I'm gonna fight you like it was the first time I was fighting in my life.
For the first time, Israel Adesanya was visibly anxious heading into a title fight, and he himself admitted the challenger had bragging rights.
All this shit, don't worry. Hey, he's got bragging rights. Talk all the shit you want. Talk all this shit you want.
He was confident about victory, but not arrogant. They had been here before after all different sport and different rules, but it was still combat, and the tally was the same 2-0 in favor of Pereira. Hopefully in this new war zone, Israel would finally be able to defeat this demon.
I'm here, I ain't going nowhere. Solid.
In one of the most anticipated middleweight championship fights, Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira met in the middle of the octagon, trying to stare a hole through each other. There was no glove touch, no nice at ease, not even a nod, and as soon as the referee told them to get it on, they started. Adesanya, who was often criticized for coasting in his fights, met Pereira in the middle, and the two kickboxing champions put on a show. A striking masterclass, and once again, we were reminded why this was a rivalry. Israel Adesanya was just as good as the challenger, and he proved it in the very first round as the clock began to take towards the final bill. It seemed that Israel was going to retain the title and clean up a good bit of the blemish on his combat record, but in the 5th round, it happened again. There was a prominent theme throughout fight week. The main event was going to be a horror movie in real life.
Hey, I want to make this a horror movie. I want to keep that theme. I want to make this a horror movie.
Israel stressed that time and time again, and while it did happen, Israel out of Sonyet himself ended up being the victim.
It's kind of like the same story as the last kickboxing fight we had. You know, I'm up, I'm having him, I'm staying focused, and then he just catches me.
How did you feel about the first round before the closing moments? What do you think, like 10 more seconds? How much more did you need?
One more shot.
One more shot and he was done?
One more shot, yeah.
Does that haunt you?
No.
You don't think about that?
No, of course not.
The scorecard now read 3-0 in favor of the new middleweight champion, Alex Pereira. Now that he was without his belt, Israel Adesanya was the most despised personality in MMA. All the talk of horror, this and nightmare that had backfired, and Israel himself was the victim, trapped for as long as Alex Pereira was in the UFC. Adesanya was a laughingstock, but being an accomplished champion, he was offered an immediate rematch, and Israel did not hesitate one bit.
UFC 287 in the main event, middleweight champion, new middleweight champion, Alex Pereira, puts his title on the line in his rematch against former champ Israel Adesanya.
But what rematch?
Oh, fuck yeah,
the 4th
it is.
fight. That
Fuck
was,
yeah,
God,
it is.
imagine it. He lose again though. He's just 4-0 to this guy.
He's just freakishly long and big for that weight class. And his powers.
He had no chance in hell. The numbers didn't lie. He was 0-3 against his supposed rival, and the 4th encounter would be no difference.
Pereira just has that power that just nobody can really take.
Izzy talked all that shit about Marvin Vettori being all delusional about always thinking that he could beat him. Well, he's kind of delusional thinking that he could beat Alex.
The former champion looked as confident as ever. At that point, he was pretty much looking right at his doom.
This fight, like I've said, this is my 8-mile moment. This is it. One more shot at this. I put everything on my back. I've done everything in my power to make sure I do the worst thing to this man this weekend. I'm done with this talking shit. You guys want to hear me talk or you want to hear me fight?
But he talked the same as he always did, certain of his impending victory. And let's be honest, everyone laughed at him. UFC 287 was the night where it was all going to end for Israel, and his corny stick was finally going away. He made the walk to the octagon, first at the challenger, and had to watch and serve as Alex Pereira's target. While making his terrifying walk to the octagon, Israel's nightmare had begun, perhaps for the final time, because there was no way he was going to recover from a 4th loss, no matter what he did. But then,
Mission accomplished for the last style bender. That might be one of the greatest KOs I've ever seen.
Israel Adesanya landed the kill shot 2 right hands. The first one landed, it was deja vu, when the second shot brought an end to the fights and Putin was unconscious on the match, and you were reminded why this was a rivalry, long history, brutally competitive, but now Adesanya had won. And with that knockout, it became apparent why these two had shared a combat ring 4 times. Time and time again, Israel came close, that right-handed rock, the rare in every encounter. But at UFC 287, he finished the sequence and rubbished the talk of Bougie Man and Apocalypse. It's been 4 times now, and each time, these two are locked in combat zone. They brutalized each other. Every shot that Pereira landed, Israel repaid. Every combo was matched. Every step forward was reciprocated. And not once did either of them shy away when you have 2 world-class kickboxers. The result hinges upon a second. While the on-paper record distorted the reality, that knockout at 287 proved beyond doubt. Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira are rivals, but is it even fair to call this a simple rivalry? This is more like a chronicle of combat across 2 different sports, and a whole lot of viciousness and brutality in those 4 meetings. I always convince myself to make these in-depth rivalry series whenever a rivalry has without a doubt concluded, but I have this feeling that these two might just share the Octagon again, maybe at a different division, to settle it once and for all. I hope you enjoyed, but I gotta bounce. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.